Hey there, if you're learning about color and about color theory, a great way to start is to learn how to paint your own color wheel. So what is a color wheel? It looks something like this, and you can buy these at the store. And in fact, I do recommend buying these. I'll talk about this a little bit more later. But what I want to show you is how to make your own color wheel using just 3 colors. Cadmium red, medium or light. Cadmium yellow, I have cadmium yellow light. You could use medium, you could also use Hansa yellow, and phthalo blue. Doesn't matter if it's green or red shade. So with these 3 colors, we're actually going to make an additional 9 colors just with those 3. And so why I think it's important to create your own color wheel is because you use your own colors that you have in your studio or workspace. And so you're learning what those colors do, what kind of yellow green that the blue and the yellow make that you have. So I think it's much better. It's also, you kind of get the muscle memory of what it feels like to make green and how much blue do you actually need in yellow to make green. So I think it's really important to learn how to mix yourself. It's really the beginning stage of learning color theory. So let's go ahead and get started, and I will show you how to make your own color wheel. Let's get to it. Okay, so got my supplies out here. So again, I've got my printout of the color wheel, and you can find the link to that in the description box below. And I would recommend, if you can, paint it on 8.5 by 11 or 9 by 12 watercolor paper. I'm not sure if that'll work in your printer, but I printed on 8.5 by 11 cardstock. And so that should work too. It might buckle a little bit still, but if all you have is paper, when I taught this to my middle school students, I just used regular paper and it honestly worked fine. It'll buckle a little bit, but you'll still get the point of the exercise. So I would go ahead and just tape that down somewhere so it stays down, and doesn't matter what kind of tape you use. I'm using like the art tape, but any kind of tape is fine. So I'm going to recommend that you have at least 3 brushes and one dedicated to each color, okay? And maybe this will be my brush that I use other colors with. And I like to have 2 water buckets. I have 2 water buckets, first rinse in the first one, and then the second rinse in the next. And then you just know you have cleaner brushes. And then of course you use your palette knife. So we're gonna start with yellow and red. And we don't need a whole lot. I also sometimes will dedicate a palette knife to a color. So we're gonna go ahead and make that palette knife the yellow, and we're gonna put some red on our palette. So we'll start with these. Now you can use cadmium red medium, like I said. This is cadmium red light or magenta. Some people prefer magenta. I just wouldn't do like the hot pink looking magenta. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the yellow first. So this is gonna be the easiest part. We're just going to paint the colors right in here. Be as neat as you want to be. And even if you don't have a printer at home, just, make yourself a quick little pie chart thingy here, like this, or just do it in your sketchbook and, just paint a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. You don't have to be perfect. This exercise is to teach you how to mix these colors. Okay, so there's our yellow. Let's go ahead and paint the red in now. So another small flat. I don't know what size this is. Some people will ask that. The thing is, the different companies have different sizes. So this is probably like a 2, or I don't know, it's probably like a 4 or a 6 or something. I usually use big brushes, so my world is more like 10s, 12s, 30s, because I paint kind of big. I'm not being super neat here, guys. Don't worry about it. You can go over the lines just a wee bit because this will dry if you're using acrylic or watercolor or gouache. And then you'll go over it, in this when you do orange red. So we could be maybe a little bit rougher here. All right, there we go. So now we've got our red and our yellow. So I'm purposely doing it this way. Now we're going to paint the color that's in between yellow and red, which is orange. And what we're going to do is we're going to mix these colors together. I really like this for mixing. And I'm noticing this paint is a little bit chunky. I'm just going to give it the smallest little spritz each one. I don't want it to blend into each other though. So for orange, I can tell you right now, you're going to need probably don't need that much, a lot of I would always start a lot of yellow and just do like a little bit of red, like that much to start off. And let's see what we get here. Now here's the handy thing about having a color wheel. So we can use this to, to look at it. And even though it's not exact, you can see I'm a little bit more yellow-orange, although it's pretty darn close, isn't it? But we could go a little bit more to red. Now, the other thing you could do is I actually have cadmium orange here. Now, this is a different brand. This is Nova Color, but that's what they're saying cadmium orange is for Nova Color. So to me, when I look at that, I think more red is what I need. And I was thinking that anyway. So let's do a little bit more red, not much. Let's mix that up. And here's what you can also do is look between and say, okay, does this fall nicely between? Is it more yellow or is it more red? It's pretty in between, actually. So we'll just make this orange. It's close to this. It's just a little bit thick. So once again, I don't want to do too much water because then it'll really buckle my paper. And sometimes it's not until I see it on here that I think, oh, I need more of a certain color. So let's just see it on the paper here. It's pretty good. Maybe it's a bit yellow-orange, like I said, but let's live with this for now. Okay, so here's our trick now. Now we're going to do yellow-orange and orange-red. So we have some paint left. If you have paint left, this is going to be the easiest way, is you're going to just you're going to split this up into two, and you're going to make one pile a lot bigger, okay? Because yellow-orange has, you guessed it, more yellow. So we just need a little bit of the orange for that. So we're going to put most of the orange over here for red-orange, okay? We'll do yellow-orange first just because that's probably dry at this point. For yellow-orange, let's take all of that yellow. I bet you it's not enough, okay? So I'll just go like this and just do a little bit of it, not even all of that. Okay. So once again, we hold it between the two. Is it more yellow? Is it more orange? You can see I could still add more yellow to that. So let's add a little bit of yellow. I mean, the goal is to fall midway between yellow and orange, right? That's kind of the goal.
Now, if you're enjoying these color theory tips, you will love my 1-hour training, From Blank Canvas to Bold Abstracts, 5 pro tips for stunning paintings. In this training, I go over more color theory tips, I talk about composition, and some other key things to learn how to paint a really strong abstract. It's totally free, and the link is just below in the description box.
A lot more yellow than orange. So you could, in theory, add a little bit more of this orange to this, I'm thinking. Okay, let's just add it all. Okay, that looks good. That looks good. Okay, so now I'm going to clean my brush or use a new brush, either way. Wipe it off the excess water so it's not dripping wet. And let's go ahead and paint in that yellow-orange. Okay, I'm happy with that. So it's somewhere in between these two, right? Now we're going to add more red to this. Remember, this is pure orange, right? And so I'm just going to put a little bit there, and let's just add the red to the orange, mix it up. Okay, so you see how we need more red? It's too close to orange, right? And it's a lot further from red. So we just can go a little heavier with the red here, perhaps. So we're pretty good there. Make sure it's not too close to cadmium. According to Nova Color's cadmium, but let's just push it a little bit more towards red. Now, this won't matter when you're painting and you want an orange red. You're not gonna, worry about this as much, most likely, right? Nice clean brush. I think I need a little bit of water in here. I could have gone with more red, but it is different. So we'll go with it. Again, when you are thinking, oh, I want orange red in my mix, I want that in my painting, you're not going to freak out if it's not the exact right proportion of orange red. Please don't freak out if it's not. You can see how to make a true orange red, but for most of you, that's not going to matter a whole lot but to know how to make an orange red, if it's more red or more orange, whatever, but you want to know how to make an orange red and you want to see how beautiful this color is. Now, we don't need any of these colors anymore except for red. No, we're not done with yellow, sorry. Yellow, green, we'll need it, we'll still need some of these colors, but I don't need these colors. So what you can do with these, if you have a lot of paint left over and you hate wasting paint, you can push it off to the side and use like an old tuna fish can and just go pop, just pop it right on top like that. But for me, this is not a lot of paint at all. It's not much paint. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to clean my palette. It's much better to have a clean palette. Again, it's really important to keep a clean palette. We don't want these other colors to mix in with our next ones. And what we're going to work on now is we're going to do blue. That's our last primary color. And I'm keeping the red covered because I'll need that later. So I don't have enough yellow. And I know I'll need a bit of blue, so I may as well put a decent amount there. And I'll just use a whole new brush for this. And although this could be a big brush, we'll see. So here's our blue, our phthalo blue. This is your primary blue. When it comes to primary blues, some companies will sell what's called primary blue. And so if you want like the best blue for color mixing or the best red, you could pick up, you know, what they call primary red, primary yellow. Even Golden does that. And I looked at the bottle because I actually have it. It's a mix of Hansa yellow, light, and medium. Okay, so there's our blue, and let's go ahead and clean our brush. Let's make violet. So I found primary red. It's one of my fluid paints. This is a primary magenta. So we're gonna use this instead. I'm gonna make sure everything's nice and clean. Okay, let's just do it for the purple.
And as you can see here, the cadmium red medium gave me a much more maroon purple, which is what happens when you use cadmium because it's a natural actual pigment. And the quinacridone, it's actually a synthetic pigment. So they're able to achieve a much richer red and a better mixing red. So anyway, as you can see here, I'm actually mixing up all the 3 different colors I need simultaneously. So on the left there, I got a nice red purple. And then the middle is more of a true purple, and then I'm going to now make a blue purple or blue violet. And so we want to make sure that just like we did before, those colors have a nice range and difference from each other. Okay, so now that we have our colors dialed in here, I'm going to paint over the other colors. And one issue we'll have here is that the color that is below this color that we're painting on, it's going to affect the top color a little bit. And so it might not be as bright and rich when we first put it down. And you can see how much brighter this purple red is, and the purple for that matter.
And this one is a little bit more blue, less gray than the one we had before. And again, they're very dark colors, right? If you look at this side, these are very dark colors. But yeah, that one is definitely not as good because of the color that was under it. To dry this, I'm gonna get my little blow dryer out here. I'm gonna quickly dry and see if I can't double coat these. We don't have a whole lot of red violet left. So what we're gonna do is we will just add some red to this.
And as you can see, all of these colors turned out a lot better now that we use the quinacridone magenta. Now let's work on doing the yellow greens and the blue greens. And so look at how dark yellow is compared to yellow. You always, oh, look how dark blue is compared to yellow. You always want to add a very small amount of blue because it's very strong and overpowering. And so I'm trying to mix green here, and as you can see, it's coming out to a true green when I add enough blue here. And as you can see here, I got a nice true kind of Kelly green. And now we can just add a bit of blue to this and we'll take this to a blue green. And once again, our goal is to get that blue green somewhere between the green and the pure blue. I think I need a little bit more blue here. It's not quite blue enough. And I think I got it here. So let's go ahead and paint that in.
And I already had the yellow green there, so we'll just go ahead and paint that in, and that is it for this color wheel.